with the hot side finish. Last time on God's Garage, we custom mounted the seats and the shifter. This time, we're making the cold side. So, I've got my hot side made now. The turbos, get the exhaust out. Now we got to get the boost to the engine, so we're going to be making the cold side. I'm over here on the passenger side, turbo outlet. I've got it kind of clocked at a 45-degree angle because I think that's going to be my best bet. As far as the inlet goes, on the front of the intercooler, if you've been following along, it's got dual inlets coming out the side, one single outlet. And I think what I'm going to do is we're going to take, these are 2.5 inch coming out and then 3 going in as far as the intercooler goes. We're going to take this 45 and come straight out at a 45-degree angle. This will make it where it's coming out of the turbo at a 45 and then straight down. And then from there, we'll take this right angle, and the right angle will connect to that pipe coming down and go straight into the side of the intercooler. I'm trying to do something similar to the other side. Whenever you got your rubber coupling, you got your tube, you got this clamp, and as this clamps down, it's going to tighten down. Something to tighten down on. So we're going to put a bead on the outside of this. What I'm actually going to use is a tool you probably already have. It's a pair of large size wire crimpers.
Okay, so you want to use intercooler tubing. You want to use some silicone attachment pieces, but you don't want these things to just slide off the moment you put any kind of pressure to them. What you're going to need to do is you're going to need to put a bead around the outside of that. Something that when you put a clip on there, it has something to grab against before this thing just slips off. So you'll take this, you'll get it all the way sunk into the very back. You don't want to have it halfway in there or something like that, because then it might just poke straight through. You go all the way back, squeeze down. It's going to make a little bump right there. And you go right beside it, do the same thing. The key is to make sure that you have this deep. Now we got to figure out how to get the boost from here, intercooler, into the intake. And what I did was I got myself some tubing, got myself some 3-inch aluminum tubing, and I got myself a couple of these little pie cuts, and the 45 and another 45 combined with some of these pie cuts I think is going to work. But I'm going to start putting things together now. I'll show you what I'm doing. All right, so I'm doing a little something that a lot of people told me I can't do. I'm going to be welding aluminum with a MIG welder without a spool gun. And so what I did was I stretched out the actual gun wire straight so that there would be no kinks. The aluminum inside of there is going to be really soft. Aluminum softer than steel, and it can kink pretty easy. Pretty simple. For whatever reason, I guess because it's a spool gun, the spool, actually where the wire came out, was coming out opposite. So I just flipped it backwards and stuck it on there. I didn't put too much tension on it, but enough to where it's still moving. I got the actual welder set as low as I can get it, and I got it set at right about 30-35 as far as wire speed goes. What I'm going to be doing is I'm not going to be welding this whole thing. I'm just going to be tacking this stuff together. There's a possibility where I could weld this all together with this MIG welder. I've been testing and seeing what works, but I'm not going to try to do that because it would look really ugly, and it might not also be that strong. I'm just going to tack things together so that I can have one of my buddies who's a much better welder than me put some beads on it afterwards with a TIG welder. But figured I'd show y'all guys what I was doing to get this MIG welder. If you're in a pinch and you got a MIG welder, you need to weld some aluminum, you can do it. Just got some vice grips on this piece of 3-inch and the pie cut. I'm gonna put me a little tack there, put me 1 or 2 more tacks on there, and we'll keep putting stuff together until it's one piece. Okay, so after just tacking this stuff together using the old MIG welder, aluminum spool, putting it down at a low heat setting and put the wire right at about 30, it's on. And it's actually not that bad. Lines up pretty well. Like I said, this is just to tack it in place. All right, now the piece is tacked together, and I've marked where I'm gonna put my blow-off valve. I've marked where I'm gonna put my mass air temperature sensor. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put a bead around the outside. That way the silicone pieces have something to grab on when I tighten down a ring. You need something for it to grab on. Sometimes you don't have access to a really expensive tool to put a bead around there. But if you got a set of wire crampers, a good size set, like a bigger one, you can take it and sink it all the way down so it gets all the way in there. And just like I did on the intercooler pieces, we're gonna make sure the bump is on the inside, okay? Then we squeeze. And when we squeeze, it's gonna create that little bump right there. What you do is go down a little bit, do the same thing again. And the trick is making sure that it just seats all the way down in there every time. And it starts to create something for the ring to be able to grab on. I'm gonna do it on both ends, from outside where it's coming in, from outside of the intercooler, and then where it's going into the intake. I'm gonna do it all the way around and show you what it looks like. So, just like I said, I just kept going all the way around and put the nice little lip on there for the ring to grab on the other side. Did it on both sides, it'll be able to grab. And when you tighten it down, it won't just be able to slip off.
I went ahead and installed the inlet piping for the intercooler since it was done, and had my buddy Robert Batello with Batello Performance put some finish welds on the main pipe, and boy, the thing was looking good. Getting me pumped up to get this thing cranked, running, and out there making some test passes. Thanks for watching Got to Garage. Y'all subscribe and see y'all next time.